attention away from the primary issue in education.
This is Mayor Andrew Young, and I'm very sorry I was not able to be with you this morning or this afternoon, but I wanted to be a part of this discussion because I think it's one of the most important discussions that any young man can have anywhere in the world and any time in life. One of the big problems we have is a population explosion, and that population explosion is essentially caused by people's irresponsible attitudes toward their sexual power. In fact, many people don't even realize that they have sexual power. Power, that is, to create another human being through the sex act. And that potential to create another human being through the sex act is present every time, each and every time, potentially, that the sex act is performed. And so it's extremely important that we try to understand the meaning of our total lives. What is the purpose of sex? What's the purpose of our lives? And as we try to understand the purpose of our lives, certainly we have to admit that one of the purposes of our lives is to create new lives and to extend the human family through our children and eventually our grandchildren. But we don't want to begin to become fathers until we've really had a time to know what it means to be a man. And one of the tragedies we're facing is that a lot of young people are getting to be fathers before they're even really full-fledged teenagers. We have young girls being pregnant at 10 and 11. We have boys at 13 and 14 that are capable of being fathers, of at least making a baby, but they're certainly not capable of being a father, for they're still almost children. And so it becomes important for us to have a very serious and responsible attitude toward our total sexuality and our total humanity and know who we are. But even as I say that, I think maybe the way that I remember it most seriously was probably in a humorous story that my father told me one time. He said that a cat was running across a railroad track and the train was coming, and the cat just barely missed and got across, but the front wheel of the train cut off a tip of his tail, and he wheeled around to see what happened to his tail, and the next wheel cut off his head. The moral is, never lose your head over a piece of tail. Now, what that says is that as long as you're dealing with sex as a frivolous, casual, human encounter that has no meaning to you or the person, as long as you think of yourself as having to gain the affection and attention and even to possess the body of a woman in order to feel like you're important, you're going to lose your head. And you're going to lose your head, and in losing your head, you run the risk of losing your life. Sex is a very, very powerful attraction. And I often say that if black men took the time trying to make money, trying to learn mathematics, trying to understand politics, that they take shooting basketballs and chasing women, we would be the richest, most intelligent, and most powerful people on the face of the earth. Because it seems like we have come to where we major in sexuality and we major in basketball or sports, but we really neglect books. We neglect our prayer lives. We neglect serious business and saving money and earning money. And we even neglect our own understanding of who we are. You see, in the final analysis, you don't become a man simply by conquering women who happen to be weak. You become a man by making a positive contribution to society. And in order to do that, a certain amount of discipline, a certain amount of energy applied to that purpose is important. And in the long run, it's not, you know, how good a basketball player you are. It's not even what a jive line you can run, to get women to do what you want. That might represent power over one woman or a girl that happens to be rather innocent or naive or inexperienced. But in the long run, your power as a man is really something that has to derive from within, and it relates to how much you can do for other people. I've always applied one rule, and I guess I started this even as a teenager, that I didn't want to do anything in relationship to a young lady that I wouldn't want somebody else to do in relationship to a child of mine, a daughter of mine, or a sister of mine. That indeed every woman is your sister. Every woman is potentially your daughter. And you relate to them with the same respect that you would want people to relate to your mother, or to your sister, or to your daughter. And if we apply that rule in our human relationships, when we worry about what's good for the other person as well as what we want, when we think through the nature of our relationships, then I think we're going to have solid, meaningful relationships that in the long run will produce wholesome, healthy families. I hope in the course of these discussions you'll do some serious thinking about your life, and that you won't hesitate to share your convictions about respecting the women of our society when you go back to school, when you hear fellas lying in the locker room, yeah man, I had her, she ain't. Say, wait a minute, you wouldn't want anybody talking about your sister like that, and you really shouldn't talk about anybody else's sister like that. If we don't respect our women, if we don't respect our brothers' sisters, our friends' sisters, nobody's going to respect our sisters. If we don't have a positive attitude toward relationships between male and female, where we are trying to build up one another in love rather than break down and exploit one another, we're never going to have strong families, and without strong families, we'll never be a strong people. One other thing, and I frankly don't know how this checks out scientifically. Many people would disagree. But one of the things that I think happens in our society is that most men lie. Most men tell you a whole lot of tales about the women they've had. And they create in younger men a need to go out and prove themselves. But most people are, really much too sensitive to just grab a woman and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I mean, that really doesn't make sense and isn't even sex. But if you listen to the brothers telling their tales, you get the impression that that's what sex is supposed to be. And then when you don't really feel like relating that way, and you see in your own sense that there's something unnatural about that kind of relationship to another human being, there are even some men that begin to think that, well, maybe I might be gay, because I don't know, I don't feel like, assaulting or accosting or possessing. I mean, sex has to be something warm and loving and meaningful for me. No, you're not gay, you're not even close. You're really a human being. For human beings, quite different from animals, sex is more than just a biological transaction. It's a human interaction. And as we learn to develop that human interaction, that ability to talk to people, that ability to share one another's dreams, that ability to really understand and sympathize, indeed, yes, to love another human being, then what we'll find is that there is a strength in that love which makes us stronger, which makes us responsible, which makes us really and truly men, and helps us to create strong families and loving women and wonderful children. What's at stake in these sessions, and what's at stake in your life, is really the future of our nation. The family is suffering like it's never suffered before. Human relationships are tending to be more casual and superficial as we sort of get a kind of a dynasty or Dallas mentality toward how we relate to each other. But that's really not what the black family has ever been about. The black family survived slavery when people were trying to destroy it. The black family kept us strong during segregation. The black family created a leadership generation that has not only helped to save black America, but may one day help to save this world. I hope you're a part of that strong black family tradition that has produced leaders not only for the black community, but for the world in which we live. God has blessed us with tremendous powers, but we have to develop those powers lovingly and sensitively and prayerfully. And as we express our sexuality as children of God relating to others, we will be strong men. We will be great men. We will be a great people. Thank you very much, and God bless you.